Anyway, yeah, so I'm going to introduce myself. So I'm George, Director of Teaching at Shillington, and I'm here to have a chat with Bella. Bella, nice to chat with you. It's been, what, like only a couple of months since you graduated? When did you graduate?
Yes. So I graduated in December 2025. So it's been about 3 months, I think. So
Mm.
yeah, on the other side of a very intense, exciting period of my life.
How does it feel to be on the other side, kind of looking back?
I mean, I think definitely now in retrospect, it's been nice just to have, I guess, like a little bit of breathing space on the other side of the course. I mean, I'm back in full-time work because I took a sabbatical to do the course. So it hasn't been like chilling and sitting on the sofa. It's been very much straight back into work. But I think it's been kind of a real shift in how I work because I guess my like reasoning for doing the course was to really upskill and elevate my design skills in my day job. And so I kind of negotiated to take the sabbatical so I could do the course and to then really help me in my day to day activities at work. So yeah, I think it's definitely been nice just to kind of start to apply these newfound skills I've learned into the things I was doing before. And it's really like opened my eyes to maybe quicker ways of working and I guess just being more focused and also just really helping to like streamline the way that I work as well. So it kind of felt quite intense because I think straight away I kind of got straight back into the work and I was like, do I work in the new way or do I work in the old way? So I think that was like a little bit of a, not a struggle, but kind of just like your brain's like trying to take you in the easy route, which is the kind of work how you used to work. And then it was kind of like a wrestling match to kind of really feel like, no, you need to actually start applying these new skills because it's going to help you in the long run. So it's kind
Yeah,
of been almost like reteaching myself how to do my job in a way. But
yeah.
yeah, so
That's
a long answer to the question.
No, no. I think it's interesting you say that because it's this thing where we all have habits, like in terms like if you're a designer or creative, like you very much like you kind of you graduate from like maybe a university or kind of a course, and then you start working. And like what I think what's really interesting about your journey is the fact that, and we're seeing this more and more actually from on Chillington, is that you know a lot of times Chillington might be like, oh, a lot of people think it's just a kind of career change. So like I do this, and I'm going to totally change my career. But I think like we're seeing more and more of people who are like not just being like, oh, actually career change, but actually no, I want to like, um, I'm already a graphic designer, I already design, and I actually want to like not just actually just like the base of like upskilling. I think it's much more actually just being like more conceptual, more thinking about the work, and just being kind of like obviously being a better designer, and that's what every designer should do. Like we're always developing. There's no designer that's like, I've learned everything in design. That's it. I'm like completely accomplished. I know everything that's it. So I think what's really admirable for you and the people who do kind of who are designers, like I want something more. Because you're working before that. What was the company you were working with before Shillington?
So it's called Smiley Company. So it's
Huh.
a fashion, lifestyle, and like a licensed IP. And so my role, so I've been at Smiley for 6 years, almost seven now actually. And I've always worked within the fashion industry. So my background is I did textile design at university, and all the job roles that I've had up until this point have been working for either small or bigger companies within the print team, and specifically in children's wear and sort of teen and youth wear. And so when I joined Smiley, that was kind of a little bit of, I guess, like a bit of a change from what I'd been doing previously because I'd worked just before I was at Smiley, I was at H&M working in Sweden for 2.5 years. And then I moved back to the UK and the role at Smiley came up and I'd never really worked directly for I guess like an IP or like a licensed lifestyle brand before. And a lot of the work that I was doing was actually more focused on creating style guides, whereas I'd been creating prints and designs for apparel and accessories. So it was kind of applying my skills in a slightly different way. So predominantly the kind of the first couple of years at Smiley was kind of working mainly on style guides, helping out with pitch decks, and kind of assisting the senior designer in the team with kind of helping out with freelancers. And as time's gone on, I've now taken over the management of the children's wear section of the fashion team, which is called Smiley World, which kind of covers ages from 0 to 14 years. And I kind of now manage the designers and freelance teams who help us to create style guides. I also create and still design myself, but it's kind of more in, there's a lot more focus on me kind of helping to lead, manage, and also create and generate the seasonal and visual trends that we're going to work on as well. So it's kind of a combination of still being creative, but kind of a lot more kind of management and like leading and
Mm.
directing teams, I guess. So, and I guess for me, I kind of was getting to a point, particularly at Smiley, where I really felt like because we were doing so much editorial and we really wanted to like elevate the design materials that we were offering and sharing with our partners. So it really felt like it was important for me to kind of have a really, I guess, a stronger grasp on what are the fundamentals of I guess graphic design, because I was kind of coming from a print design background where you're kind of designing for fabric and things for people to wear, and actually it is kind of a different kettle of fish when it comes to graphic design, because actually it the application is different. And I think actually I just really wanted to know, like, yeah, how to use grids, how to use columns and margins, like in design. I guess we also got introduced to Figma, which was something that I'd never really used before. I really just wanted to feel like I can confidently lead and direct other creatives to be able to create amazing work. And I think also it was kind of a nice test for me to kind of feel like, can I still design? Have I still kind of got that tool and that skill set that's like working to full capacity? Because I guess sometimes when you work for, particularly when you kind of work for a company for such a long time, I suppose if you're maybe job hopping and kind of getting that opportunity to kind of work at lots of different places in kind of short periods of time, you may be kind of picking up different skills along the way and having to kind of just learn on your feet. Whereas I guess when you kind of get your feet under the table at a company, there is kind of a tendency, but like you kind of maybe get comfortable, or you kind of have your set jobs and tasks that you need to complete each year. And there may not necessarily be a need for you to upskill, because the kind of the bulk of the job is this needs to be delivered, and you just need to kind of ensure that it's done to a high standard. So for me, it was kind of doing the course actually was a challenge to be like, right, you need to go back, and it's about actually learning something new and almost putting aside all the stuff that you had learned previously, where you kind of just, I don't know, like sellotaping like skills together, where you just think, well, I'm just going to have to learn this quickly because I need to get the job done. Actually, just dedicating time to be like, you need to really focus and just absorb everything, because in the long run, it's really going to help you work smarter, I think, and kind of also just feel like you're kind of staying up to date with new programs and new systems that you might not have like had the opportunity or the time to kind of learn when you're working full time.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I love you said sellotaping skills. That was a really nice, like, I just visualizing like that. I was like, you should trademark that. That's the slogan. I was
It's
like,
mine.
is that something you've like picked up from somewhere else? Like sellotaping skills. That's a good one to use. I think it's like, yeah, it's really interesting you saying about working somewhere where you're kind of like, you've got your set ways or the way of thinking. But I think, the thing you're talking about here is really kind of like elevating yourself and kind of like trying to create better work. I'm reading this in terms of, besides like again the kind of the general like of upskilling or working in the programs, but what do you think was the difference of like working in Shillington, working in the kind of like student environment, being online? How do you think that like kind of affected your, or did it affect your kind of like way of like, as I said, going back to work, and the way you can like not just being like, oh, like the shortcuts or technical side, but like, do you think it had an effect in terms of how you think differently or conceptualize or look at that kind of side of things?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I was thinking about this the other day. Like we had it was like a industry people from industry came to do like a talk with us during midway through the course when we were on Shillington, and they really emphasized the importance of finding inspiration on other platforms other than Pinterest, or the kind of the ones that you kind of tend to gravitate towards when you just need to do something quickly. And I think that sort of really resonated with me, because I think initially when we first, like on the first half of the course, and I think quite a lot of us on, I suppose, I don't want to speak for everyone else, but I know for myself, like because everything else felt really new while you were learning skills and doing all the demos and stuff on the course, I really felt like you, you kind of were relying on like Pinterest a little bit, because that was like your comfort zone. And I think actually seeing like the amazing work from some of the people from industry, it kind of felt like, and they were really pushing the idea of finding inspiration from the unexpected places. It could be from art, it could be from the outdoors, it could be like a little bit of graffiti you saw in a toilet, it could be from anything. And I think it was like, it really made me think that when I started to think in that way more, because I think definitely the teachers were kind of constantly telling us like, don't just use the same platforms, and they gave us so much like opportunity to find inspiration otherwise. But I think it was really seeing other people in industry kind of like saying like, this is, oh, this will help elevate your work. It really made me kind of think, right, I need to kind of start doing this in a different way and actually utilizing other forms of inspiration just to see if that is going to help give a bit more depth to the work that you're creating. So I kind of feel like, especially now going back into my job, which obviously is within fashion, I'm kind of seeing it in a different way, because even if it's just down to the technical things of like, actually, this is how you should align this, or this is how you should set a document up, or whatever it is. But I think it is like, okay, well, now that I've got this whole new world and kind of, what I'm trying to say, like I've kind of had my mind's been unlocked to a totally new environment. So I'm able to kind of pull kind of inspiration and ideas from the graphic design world and apply it in a slightly different setting in on fashion and apparel, and also in the kind of editorial materials that we're making. And I think kind of the importance of having, I guess, like depth and a story. I think storytelling definitely has been the one thing that I've also really tried to integrate even more into the work that I'm creating now. And I think especially when I've been creating kind of like pitch decks, particularly recently, it's really been about kind of taking the user on a journey and kind of what imagery you're using, what text you're kind of using to kind of like start to kind of unravel the message throughout a piece. And I think I wasn't really thinking about that before. And I think definitely the more you kind of talk to other people, like whether it's other students or kind of just people outside of the course, and I think particularly when I guess you're now showing like this new body of work that I've created, I think definitely the importance of like being able to communicate what you want to communicate on the page, especially if you can't be there to explain it. So you want the person to really be able to understand, why did you do this? What was the reason for using this typeface? Why did you choose those colors? And I think I'm definitely feel like it was almost like a little light switch turned on. And it was like, you really almost need to make your work super easy to digest, but also attract either your target audience or a completely new target audience and kind of keep them engaged. And it's like, how do you do that is, I guess, down to kind of like storytelling, as it were, and kind of like,
Mm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
loved it. I think that was. I loved when you said like giving your ideas depth. I think that's a really really good summary of it, because it's, as you said, like, we can all, you could say everyone can design, like everyone can get some, like, again, that could be on paper, it could be like, on the computer, but like everyone can put elements together and create something. But when you got ideas, you got design, when you give it like real depth, that's real thinking, and that's real, like, kind of, not just like doing something surface level, but actually doing something that's got like meaning and kind of like context as well. I think that's the kind of the depth that you're talking about as well, which is fantastic. And again, like you said, look at everything. Like, you need to be a magpie as a creative. Like, it's not just like one, not like just, even if you're designing in one lane, but like you're taking that inspiration from everywhere is really great. Should we talk about like one of your kind of so the projects you were working on at Shillington? Like, is there any kind of like projects you particularly had a fondness for? And it might not have been the project you just like, oh, it's my favorite project, but a project that was maybe a challenge you went through, or like any kind of projects you want to kind of like talk about that project specifically, and maybe talk about the process of it.
Yeah, of course. I can definitely take you through some of my projects. Let me see if I can show you my document in the matrix. Okay, so let me just jump through. So I guess in terms of the projects that I created at Shillington, uh, selected these four. And I guess maybe one of the projects that I guess I'll take you through is Makes Sense. And this, I think it was such a journey with this project. And I think it turned into a real like mammoth, it turned into a mammoth project. It started out as a packaging project, and it kind of just transformed into its own personality and its own, I guess, being. So I was able to just kind of create lots of different rollout for it. And I'll take you through my messy, like, scatterbrain working files, but I can just flick through.
You say scatterbrain. I say creative genius. I say creative genius. They're very very similar. You say scatterbrain. I say creative genius. Anyway.
You'll get the exclusive look at the
Yeah.
all the madness in the file. But yeah, to kind of just give a bit of context for the project itself, it was the project itself was a packaging project, but it makes sense as a brand is a female-owned, planet first soap brand that was focusing on this lady Sophie, and she basically was transforming fruit and vegetable waste into playful and contemporary products. And I think the project itself was about like exploring how sustainable products can feel joyful, can still feel culturally relevant, and not be the kind of stereotypical, I guess, sustainable products. I guess the main challenge within this project for myself was very much about showcasing sustainable products in a less muted and kind of overly serious way. So for me, this project particularly was about using tone of voice as a real driver to communicate the message and kind of keying into a specific target audience with the tone of voice to kind of really drive that kind of TikTok coded sort of Hun culture like we have in the UK as kind of the as the personality in the brand. And so yeah, I guess in terms of the visual identity of the brand, it's bold, it's colourful, it's tactile, and I guess it really reflects the, I guess, sensory nature of the product. I think things like the bright colour palette, the texture-led imagery, which was kind of in itself quite a journey for me because it was about exploring how to kind of use AI as a tool as well, which is something that I'd not really used massively in my day job. And I think actually it kind of really helped me to, I guess, create a, I don't know, like this contemporary project and really bring the project to life, I think. I guess in terms of things like the typography choice, it was about having something that felt confident, that was contemporary, and kind of it really also played an active role in expressing the tone of the project as well. It feels like casual, conversational, and it's self-aware. I think obviously throughout the rest of the project, I just really wanted to make the what am I trying to say? I've lost the train of
It's not good.
thought. um, in terms of the brand itself, I chose to look at different kind of forms of rollout. But obviously, having like billboard campaigns, taking it from it just being a packaging project to it being a full world. So it was really important for me because I was relying so heavily on tone of voice in the project. There was no additional graphics or other elements to kind of give it a separate personality, I guess. I really wanted to ensure that like every opportunity that the the audience had to kind of look at elements of the brand, it was really sort of selling the message and kind of bringing home the tone of voice, as it were.
Right.
Things like having messaging on the inside of the packaging, on kind of every side of the paper, and just ensuring that that like tone of voice or that slightly tongue in cheek or playful messaging was ever present. And yeah, just for each of the soaps that there were, it was its own kind of character. And again, yeah, just really wanted to, I don't know, I guess it's like celebrate being, I don't know, I feel like this project itself really screams like confidence and
Mm.
hopefully authenticity. And
I think what's
yeah,
interesting about this is what this project as well, the fact that, like you said, that it was just a packaging project, but I think what you said there is like, it was a packaging project, but you really wanted to make it into a world. I think that's
yeah,
that's definitely what you did. Like you took like a kind of a what could be considered like a basic packaging project for a soap a soap, and then you can like took it into like this kind of world, which is like contained through like tone of voice, as you said, and really that kind of focus, which is really really clear. Um,
yeah.
yeah, if you like, yeah, I mean definitely let's have a look at some of the kind of the other constraints, and then I definitely want to dive right into your creative genius of your working files, because I think it's where all the magic is really all the kind of where it's all come through.
Yeah, I can. Do you want me to carry on flicking through these
Yeah,
bits,
yeah.
or
If you,
yeah,
it's up to you. But if you want more to explain, go through it.
yeah, I can. I can. I'm happy to maybe show you some of the working elements. So let me stop sharing this bit, and I'll jump onto there. So
Because
it
I think sometimes
is.
it's like it's almost like the journey is more interesting sometimes than the actual end outcome, and I think that's where actually a lot of your creative energy is coming through and that kind of thing. So yeah, like I suppose like from like the initial thing you were doing to like actually your working file
Yeah.
and how you got from like A to B, I suppose is kind of interesting to look at.
Yeah, so I guess the starting point for the project, I guess, as I sort of mentioned before, was obviously it started out just as a packaging project, and it was kind of small paper boxes for soaps. I think kind of the underlining kind of playful nature, tone of voice, and color were there, but I'd really felt like I wanted to, I guess, revisit the packaging itself. And then I think it was also working out, yeah, how can you expand this brand to kind of become a world? So I think initially it was about working out what elements of rollout I wanted to include in the project. If there were sort of things I wanted to refine about the flavors and kind of the personality for each of the flavors, and how you can really engage with the target audience that you're aiming at. So, what would be the things that would really attract and drive those kind of people to be attracted to the brand? So, I guess I'm going to zoom out now because it's going to get a bit intense, but I suppose the main kind of journey was kind of exploring what each of the flavors are going to look like, what kind of combination of colors are going to work together as a pairing, and then also as a collection together, because obviously these things are going to have to sit together on a website or in store. So it's like, what are the things that are going to really going to help sell it? And then also it was then how can you start to apply that on other elements of rollout? So if it's packaging, if it's billboards, if it's stickers, if it's postcards, is it the wrapping paper that goes with the product? So I think I really tried to use this document, and I guess the time that I had each week with my tutor, which was George, to kind of start just to kind of develop this world further. And I think it kind of snowballed because it was kind of just coming back to what's the kind of core message that you want to send out. Is it still attractive to the customer? And I guess, yeah, what's working or what's not working. So, yeah, I think as you can see, like as a kind of going across the screen, like it was about really nailing down the packaging and just ensuring that the colors and the general rhythm of the project were working, and then just kind of seeing how that really worked on in other formats. And then when it came to imagery, because obviously I was heavily relying on tone of voice to really sell the message and the product. it was important to ensure that the imagery in the photographs really helped to cohesively married with the message and the overall aesthetic of the project. So you can see, like, this is where I was like exploring AI and working out how I could kind of use it as a tool, like not relying on it to kind of do everything, because at the end of the day, you still need to be able to have like a strong concept and strong elements to be able to input into AI to kind of help you. But it really felt like, particularly when I just needed to create the perfect like lifestyle imagery, it was about kind of showing that and working out, yeah, what things were working, what things weren't working, how to get rid of models with 10 fingers and everything else.
Yeah, and you're also like with that skill set. You're also like you're art directing, so you're really like distinctively not just like trying to create images, like because like even if you go into the, I think it's really nice if you zoom into some of the like imagery you're like creating through AI. It's like there's a, you definitely weren't trying to like, oh, here's my first prompt I put in and here's the outcomes. Like you were doing so much like back and forth and trying things out, getting that real fine balance of like art directing, the look and feel, the aesthetics of it. Do you want to go through that, some of that kind of like process and the kind of work through that?
Yeah, of course. I think, yeah, so I guess over here, I kind of, it was important to work out, yeah, what is the starting point? Who are either the brands you're aspiring to kind of be competitors of, and what's the overall mood that you kind of want to achieve, I guess. So I think it was super important to kind of have a strong base of like, be confident with, this is who I'm aiming the brand at, and then this is kind of like the look and feel of the I guess of the lifestyle imagery that I wanted to create. So yeah, as you said, like the journey with AI was kind of quite long, and it took me down lots of different rabbit holes. And I think it was trying to work out, even just down to like what the founder should look like, what should the studio look like, even just things like ensuring that the model's hands had the right manicured nails. What should the bars of soap look like? And yeah, you can see there's lots of kind of different iterations there. And again, as we kind of got further into the project, it was about just ensuring that even just like additional like lifestyle imagery, whether it was just kind of creating the scene for having a bar of soap in situ in a bathroom, on a sink. What should the bathroom look like? Ensuring that the colors aligned with the general color palette of the brand. And also kind of just showing people interacting with the products as well. Like, what should the models look like? How old should the models be? And also, I think always this document kind of just became, obviously, it, it, it's kind of, yeah, just like what my brain was doing throughout the project. And I think it was important to kind of also just add annotation, because at the end of the day, some things might make sense to me, but when you're then having to have that touch point and contact time with the tutor, it was really important to make sure that things were annotated, things were organized in such a way that I could actually ask for I could ask for help, because yeah, sometimes it was quite overwhelming. I'll like zoom out and show you
Yeah.
the scale of all the stuff. And I think it was like, actually, I hats off to you, George, because I think there were times when I would get very overwhelmed, if you can just see like everything here, because
Yeah.
there was just so much that went into this project. And I just didn't think it was going to maybe snowball into what it did. But I think it was a great test of the skills that I'd learned on the course. So things like creating a website, creating things for social media, creating packaging. This is stuff that I'd never really touched on before. So I think being able to actually put that stuff into practice, and like actually realizing that, oh my gosh, I actually really enjoyed creating websites and doing all the kind of work that kind of goes into it, like how to make a website work, like what should it look like, what's the process of how someone should be able to interact with a website, having buttons that are clear, like just ensuring that typography looks a certain way, clickable buttons, are they visible? Is there kind of consistency across the website? And if you'd have asked me 4 months ago that I'd be excited about creating websites or like learning about UX and UI, I'd have been like, what even is that? So I think that was one of the things that really surprised me, was like actually that maybe I really enjoyed that aspect of the work, and actually kind of bringing things to life with like elements of motion, kind of making the website scroll. That was really exciting. But I think in general, I guess this project really kind of pushed me to, I guess, my creative limits, because like you said, it's kind of combining everything that you learn on the course, but then also just kind of also having to make decisions to what things am I going to not include, what things should be included in the final sort of portfolio, I guess.
And when you're when you see all that work, like all the iterations, all the amount of work, and he's used to like being kind of like yourself saying feeling overwhelmed with the snowballing effect of like going down the different routes and aspects. Like so, how did you you were saying, oh, thanks to me. No, this on you. Like how did you like, especially for people who maybe like watching this or listening to this, like how do you navigate yourself to take that thing to try things out, navigate through that things, and not feel overwhelmed. And again, if you were feeling overwhelmed, like obviously talk us through that kind of experience, but like how do you get through the other side? How do you make those kind of decisions? Yeah, your process in that.
Uh, I think, I guess in general, before like I started the course, I'd always kind of felt like a bit of self-doubt in terms of myself as a creative. And I think particularly like working and doing the course, it really kind of pushed me to be vulnerable, and that it was kind of, that it's okay to make mistakes and things don't have to be polished and perfect. And I think particularly while working on this project, I think it was just trusting my gut and my instinct a little bit more. And I think I really thrived when it was about iterating. As you can see, like there's no end of like ideas and just like, I could do this, I could do that. And I think that was something that I surprised myself with, in terms of the sense of like, just look at how much work you can kind of create in such a small window of time. But I think, yeah, I guess even on the course, it was like, there were like moments where I really did feel like this isn't working. You kind of, and it's the dangerous thing to do is like obviously looking at your like other classmates' work, and like, there were so many amazing people on the course. So it was very much just like, oh my gosh, this person's really like polished, or this person has got really beautiful, like a website or a really amazing app that's got loads of interactive elements, or this person's got an amazing muted color palette. And I was like looking at this project in particular, I was like, maybe it does it look too childish? Does it look too naive? Should I have more graphics or like graphic elements? Like when I was exploring with like AI, I was like, oh, maybe it should have more pattern on the packaging, or maybe it should be looking a certain way. And I think it kind of got to a point where I was like, it you kind of just have to think, well, I've made this decision to start this project, and there's got to be something that's kind of resonating or working. And you kind of just have to, I guess, go with it, especially because obviously you get the contact time with the teachers. It's like, and they'll be kind of giving you guidance and feedback to kind of help shape and um, get you in the right direction, as it were. But you kind of are relying on your own vision, and you have to be kind of confident. So I think it's funny because this project, I guess in retrospect, I suppose, especially because of the fact that it's just tone of voice, a bold typography, and a really vibrant color palette, you're kind of just relying on those three elements, and the fact that the brand as itself really just needed to sing and really represent the target audience it's aiming at. I didn't really there wasn't anything else to kind of sell it really, so that needed to feel confident and just like, this is what it is. big soaps, cute soaps, big impact, makes sense. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's this project's maybe everything that I hope and aspire to be: confident, authentic, and to the point, which sometimes is not always easy. So
But yeah, that's it.
I
I I didn't. That's something I was going to talk to you about too, because I think it's really obviously interesting is the fact that you were working on a project that was so about being confident and about being present and those kind of elements that was like really an important factor for that brand and that packaging. Like, and I think that every designer goes through elements of confidence, but I feel like just specifically like working with you on that project, or not just that project, the whole of Shillington, or certainly at the end in portfolio time, I feel like that from my perspective is something that I feel like you maybe had challenges with in terms of like your own just confidence and your own self belief. How do you feel like in terms of like, is that something that you feel that you're kind of like, how do you navigate through that? And what is the kind of thing that you feel you can get through that? Or for you, has Shilton made a difference, or just like the way of thinking?
feel like I think yeah, I definitely have and probably always will struggle with having more confidence in my creativity and things that I work on. I suppose it like that can stems back from kind of like I definitely like was told when I was doing my foundation course, like the interviews to go onto the course, I was told like you're not a very good artist and you're going to really struggle on the course. And then she still gave me a place on the course, and then like I did really well, and then obviously from that point to now, I feel like it's kind of almost like, well, I've been able to do it. And I think for myself, having maybe someone tell you you can't do something allows you to feel like, well, I'm going to need to push through now because I'm absolutely going to do this because I need to prove you wrong. So I think in a way it's difficult because it's kind of that you're constantly battling with like the two voices in your head of like, I know I can do this. I'm capable of like creating like amazing work and stuff that resonates with people. But then also there's someone that's saying, of it you can't. So I think it's that constant wrestle and constant battle with those two kind of like voices, or like whatever, angel and devil on your shoulder. But I think at the end of the day, I suppose it's about, and particularly on the Shillington course, I really felt like there were so many things that I was fearful before starting the course, in particular things like just showing my work to people. I feel like I've really struggled with, like, throughout my career, kind of, I guess, gathering together examples of my work or work that I should be proud of. And I think I was really kind of having to psych myself up about the fact that you really just need to be open and you need to be vulnerable to, first of all, I guess, get better, to receive feedback, and also to receive even just like hearing positive things about your work can sometimes feel quite alien if you've always felt kind of self-conscious, or you've doubted your capabilities. So I think definitely the course has kind of made me feel like, you know what, don't be afraid to show the things that you've created, even if it's not right, or even if it's not polished, or even if it's not super sleek or whatever. I think if the idea is strong and there's authenticity and there's, I guess, heart behind it and there's strong foundations, people will resonate with it. And I think, yeah, I can take that away from the course. And I think I'm really trying to be better at, I guess, being proud of my work. I think that's something that the course has really told me or taught me, is that you've spent this really short window of time to really improve and work on your creativity. So be proud of the fact that you've been able to generate loads of work that e- even over like a 12, 13-year career, like I would never have been able to generate that with such speed. So I think it's kind of like a testament to the course that it gives you that opportunity to just really focus on like what is it that I want to create? What is it that I want to improve or learn? And then like a, kind of putting it into action. And it really gives you the space to just be super creative, but also focusing on projects that are kind of going to allow you to understand what's happening in the commercial industry. So it's kind of like the perfect kind of combination of, it's almost like a kind of design therapy and I don't know, skill set course. But yeah, I think definitely still working on trying to be more confident and put myself out there in terms of my own work. But I think Shillington really made me feel like it was okay to be vulnerable and just show your work even if you think it sucks, because 9 times out of 10 someone will see it and think, that looks amazing, what are you talking about? And you'll think that everyone's crazy because they're seeing something that you definitely can't see. So I think, yeah, vulnerability and a confidence booster, I guess, is what I'd
Yeah.
say that I got from the course.
Well, yeah, I'm jealous of how amazingly great you are at design, Bella, and I'm genuinely jealous of like how much you can do and what you can create. So, um, yeah, I wish I was as good as you are in the course and before this. But yeah, so it's been a real dream just working with you in portfolio time and during the course. But like, yeah, thanks for trying through all that work and seeing all that great creative work that you've been doing. So yeah, thanks for that. That was
No,
awesome.
thank you so much, George. And again, like, thank you for being my patient, excitable, and just like, I guess, yeah, caring and considerate tutor. So like, I definitely wouldn't have got through the whole portfolio section because you were like a really great source of just inspiration, but also just like energy, and like you really kept me kind of focused when I was like going off
Uh,
on a
The
tangent
going on,
or
the
freaking out.
going on, the going on. But Bella, the going off is the magic. The going off is the real magic. That's where you're creating that kind of creative magic in that kind of going off in the kind of sphere. That's and all we're here to do is just like get you to like nudge you to like, yeah, there's something there, there's something. That's the best bit. Like you going off and
Yeah.
it's like, don't stop doing that. That's really important. But yeah,
Okay.
thanks for that. That
Cool.
was really great to speak to you. And yeah, thank you, Bella. Cheers for that.
No worries. Thank
Bye
you for
bye.
having me. Bye.